Good day, everyone. I want to believe we are having a wonderful time. Thank you for coming to class today. And this is Network Kings IT Solutions. And this is going to be the continuation of our practical networking class, where we say, okay, practical network fundamentals training. We've looked at the different topics in this class, and we want to begin to look at the setting up of lab environments in this scenario. So, what are the agenda or what are the things we intend to achieve today? We intend to look at the introduction to EVNG. What is EVNG? We're going to look at the tools required for EVNG installation. We're going to do the installation and do a little demo because we said that it's practical network. So we need to understand how our networks works, and then we have a little final tips and then takeaway. So what exactly is EVNG or EVE? We said it is the emulated virtual environment next generation. Someone was asking me, why can't we even use a Cisco Packet Tracer here? And I was explaining to the person a few days ago from the students in the training segment said, okay, we said Cisco Packet Tracer is a simulator. Is a simulator, not an emulator. So it can only simulate. It could simulate what a real life scenario should look like. However, for an emulator, it can gives us it can emulate, it can show what the real life scenario really is. And another advantage of the EVNG is the fact that it has the capacity to run different variants of technologies. Okay, so unlike Cisco Packet Tracer, whereby it is limited to just Cisco devices, Cisco router, Cisco switch, maybe AP. But when it comes to EVNG, we have the flexibility of running different vendors on it. So, introduction. So we said EVNG is emulated virtual environment next generation. It's a powerful network emulation platform used by IT professionals for designing, testing, and learning about complex network setups. It supports multiple vendors' devices. Okay, so you see what I'm talking about, including Cisco, Juniper, Palo Alto, Microtik, Windows OS, distros of Linux machines, and more. So this is what EVNG gives us the flexibility of doing. We can run different vendors of devices on EVNG, and it allows user to create virtual labs in a single unified interface accessible through a web browser, which is what we're going to do today. We're going to see how we can, install the EVNG on our virtual environment, and once we've done this, we can then power up different devices and so on. It is widely used for certifications training such as CCNA to CCIE. That's your CCNA labs, your CCNP labs, your CCIE labs, and we can use it for our PCNSA. So I remember when I was still preparing to write my PCNSA some months back, I needed to install Palo Alto in EVNG, do my practical labs, and understand how some things works on the Palo Alto. So, and many more. It's with its collaborative features, multiple users can work on the same lab, environment simultaneously. That's concurrently. We can keep doing. So our goal today is to get EVNG installed on a Type 2 hypervisor, that's our VMware, and run our lab. So what do we need to do? The tools that we needed. The tools or applications needed are, number one, a Type 2 hypervisor, preferably VMware. As a matter of fact, EVNG said that we cannot use VirtualBox. Okay, so for us to have the full flexibility of the features in EVNG, we should use VMware, either VMware Workstation Player or VMware Fusion. So we need the EVNG OVA or ISO. Currently, the OVA is no longer, or OVF is no longer on the EVNG platform, but either of it still works fine. With the OVF, what it gives us the flexibility is the fact that everything has been packaged and we could just, upload and we are good to go. So we need the EVNG, Win client package, and we need WinSCP, that's the Windows Secure Copy, or FileZilla for file transfers. We need to copy the ISO images, from our PC to the EVNG as storage. So most importantly, we must ensure that virtualization is enabled on our laptop that you want to use to run this lab. Okay, so this is very important. And then what are the minimum system requirements? What do we need to have up and running? So knowing the minimum system requirements is essential to ensure a smooth installation process. According to the EVNG team, we need at least a 64-bit operating system, 8 gig of RAM, 10 gig of free space, and a quad-core, quad, quad, quad-core CPU. And SSD is also recommended for better performance. So that does not mean we can't use our HDD. With this, we can enjoy a seamless experience while exploring various networking scenarios on EVNG. So let's quickly get into our installation. So installation and demo. So I'm going to share with us. So I have a folder created for, and I call it the EVNG folder. So under this folder, I have my VMware workstation full. So all I need to do, if we're going to get this working, is to just run the VMware workstation. VMware workstation. So you're going to get preparing workstation, VMware workstation for installation. You should get that. Preparing workstation for installation. If this is your first time of running the VMware, that's after having the package installed or downloaded from the site. So I already have it installed on my machine. So this is my VMware workstation. I have Eve already running. However, we're going to just create a new Eve environment. So I have a Workstation Pro. And like I showed us, I have the EVNG ISO image, and I have the EVNG Wins Client Pack. So if I'm going to get this, all I need to do is create a new machine, create a new virtual machine, recommended, next. I will say you should install. We go to where our if ISO image has been installed or been downloaded, where we stored it, so I have a separate folder that I created to that effect. So I go to the EVE-NG tools and I have it here. So that has been uploaded. So I create next. I'll give it a name. I'll just call it EVE-NG VM. So from VM, I move to the next. I have enough space on my laptop so I can give this 40 gig, and I want it to be stored on a single. So move on, finish. As soon as we finish this, we can go to the processor, so it's going to reboot. So it's pretty simple this way. Every other thing will keep running on its own. We just need to give it some time as it begin to run. So it said install EVE-NG Community Edition. So you click enter. So we're going to follow the installation wizard English. Continue by saying done. So we said continue. So this is going to take some couple of moments, because this is the beauty of using the OVF. If you have the OVF file, it will have been pretty simple. We're not going to be going through the installation. So this is like just installing a Linux machine or Linux VM on a virtual environment. So you just give it some time. So it's a failed mounting CD-ROM. So it's rebooting again. Just have to give it some time. Okay. It's going to do its own thing. And so it said it's mounting the necessary drives. Okay. We're getting closer. So it says EVE-NG login. So we say root. All right. So let's give it some time. Okay. Started time and date service. So login is root and the password is Eve. So let's see, root and then Eve. All right. So root one more time, Eve. All right, still doing some installation, finished waiting. So just give it some time. So we also have this kind of issues with Palo when you are installing the Palo OS, Pan OS 8, 9. You can run into such issues, so you just have to give it some time. So at this point, we could see Apache Tomcat Web Application Server. That is going to be the GUI interface. So the installation is still ongoing. This is the major difference between the OVA and the ISO image of EVNG. So assuming it's the OVA file now, we'll just import. All of the installation has been done and packaged just like a Docker image. So those are the that's the beauty between the two. So we wouldn't have been going through all of this long process of installations. We spent about 10 to 12 minutes now on this installation using the ISO image, and we stay on it. So let's just give it some time. I would likely have to do another video on how to use the OVA. So I'm currently trying to get that downloaded. So now it has started the Apache HTTP server, starting time and date. Time and date started. So I think we are getting closer to the final stage. So we're getting very closer now. I think this should be the final stage of the reboot. So we have our EVE next generation. Okay, I think it should ask us for username and password now. So it's a login. We should have root. Okay. Root and Eve. So fantastic. Now it said type the root password is Eve. That's the root password, even though it won't show it's still Eve. Second time we can give it, type the short host name for the, so we can give it the evng.com. You can just remain follow this prompt. Good to go there. Press OK, and after this we should be good to go. Another reboot. At this point, I think it should get an IP from our VMware host. Okay. So we've gotten an IP. Fantastic. 192.168.101.131. So let's try and log in root again and give it Eve. At this point, we can now go to our web browser. Let me use Edge. So it is this IP that we are going to use to access so http 192.168.101.131. So this should take us to the GUI interface of our Eve, and here is admin and the password is Eve. We can use the native console, the HTML, or it will still take us to the interface. So we are logging in. We can save this. We are logging into the EVNG interface for the first time. So this tells us that, okay, our EVNG is working fine. Now we have it running on the VMware, okay, and we can access it as well on the GUI, which is very important because this is the exact place we are going to be having all our lab environment, all the things we want to do, how we're going to begin to get them up and running. So maybe we should just see that until we've installed all of the images, there is no way we can have any lab working. So for instance, immediately we come here, we can just say, okay, you see add new lab. If we click on add new lab, so let's just say lab 1. If you look at this now, you can see all the different things I've done before: Juniper automation, Arista automation, and programmability, Palo Alto installation, Windows 10 installation. So let's just say test lab 1. Test lab 1. What we want to do, you can put description, installing. That will be our next thing in the next class. Installing Cisco images. So your task, Cisco routers and switches, both layer 2 and layer 3. Switches, both L2 and L3. Okay. So with this, we can save it. So immediately we save this now, we can see the interface of EVNG now. From here, we can add object, we can add node. So, and we can still come here and do add a node. So if we are going to add a node, you can see they are all grayed out because we are yet to install any. The only thing that should be up here should be the VPC. So which is a used for testing pings and all of the rest when we are done setting up things. So with this, we are able to set up our EVNG and working fine. So what are we doing? What have we done? Getting our VMware installed and ready. Installation of the EVNG ISO or OVF file. Accessing the GUI interface of the EVNG. Creating our first lab. So what's the final tips and takeaway here? EVNG is for everything IT. What does it mean, everything IT? From networking to cybersecurity to DevOps to cloud and so on. So we'll be installing Cisco routers and switches in our next training and complete our network emulated environment setup for this practical networking class. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining the training section today. And if you want us to do training on any other technologies, you could reach out to us on WhatsApp through this line and our email at networkingsitsolutions@gmail.com. And this is my LinkedIn. Maybe you want to reach out to me. So thank you so much and do have a wonderful time.